The setting sun paints the Arizona desert in shades of blood and gold as dust devils dance across the empty highway. Through the scope of a high-powered rifle, a figure watches a lone Border Patrol vehicle approaching from the south. The crosshairs settle on the driver, a female agent, seemingly alone and vulnerable. A voice crackles through a radio, rough and determined. Wait until she reaches the marker, no mistakes. Agent Alex Reyes notices the abandoned truck first, a weathered 18-wheeler straddling the shoulder, hazard lights blinking lazily in the growing dusk. Standard procedure would be to call it in, wait for backup, but something about the scene pulls at old instincts, memories of another life, where shadows meant danger and hesitation meant death. She slows her vehicle, dust billowing behind the wheels. The radio squawks with routine chatter, but her attention fixes on details others might miss. Fresh tire tracks leading off-road, the unnatural stillness of the air. Her hand drifts to the hidden compartment under her seat, fingers brushing against cold metal. The ambush erupts with surgical precision. The first shot takes out her front tire, sending the vehicle into a controlled spin. The second punches through, the windshield missing her head by inches. Training kicks in, not Border Patrol training, but something deeper, more lethal. She's already moving as bullets tear through the cabin, her body responding to muscle memory earned in places that don't officially exist. Rolling clear of the vehicle, she counts the muzzle flashes. 3 on the ridge to the north, 2 more closing. In from the east, not cartel foot soldiers. These men move with military precision. Her hand finds the flashbang concealed in her boot as she appears to stumble, making herself look vulnerable, wounded. Drop your weapon. The command comes in accented English. Hands where we can see them. She raises her arms, slowly, the movement calculated to draw their attention upward, away from her feet. The setting sun silhouettes 5 figures approaching, confident in their victory. Behind them, a 6th man films with a professional camera, documenting what they expect to be another warning to those who challenge cartel authority. The flashbang detonates with thunder and lightning, but Alex is already moving. She hits the first man before his retinas can recover, her elbow finding the sweet spot where jaw meets skull. The second reaches for his sidearm, but finds empty air, the weapon already in her hands, its weight familiar like an old friend. 2 more attackers go down in quick succession, precise shots that speak of training far beyond standard law enforcement. The cameraman stumbles backward, still recording as his companions fall. Through his viewfinder, he captures something impossible, a Border Patrol agent moving like a ghost, each strike economic and lethal. The last attacker, more desperate now, unleashes a spray of automatic fire. Alex rolls behind her patrol vehicle, bullets sparking off metal. She counts the shots, waiting for the telltale click of an empty magazine. When it comes, she's already in motion, vaulting over the hood. Her boot connects with his sternum, driving him to the ground. But instead of finishing him, she disappears into the growing storm. The dust storm arrives like nature's curtain, reducing visibility to mere feet. The surviving attackers regroup, checking their fallen comrades. They find her vest, torn and bloodied, half buried in the sand. She's dead. One of them laughs, holding up the vest for the camera. El Halcon will be pleased, another message sent. But through the swirling sand and gathering darkness, through the lens of military-grade night vision, Alex watches them celebrate their presumed victory. Her knife gleams dully in the fading light, its edge hungry for blood. These men thought they were hunting easy prey, but they've made a fatal mistake. They should have checked her service record more carefully, should have wondered why certain years were redacted, why certain missions were classified, should have asked themselves why a simple Border Patrol agent moves like a trained killer. Now they'll learn the hard way. Some predators are best left undisturbed. As the storm intensifies, Alex begins her hunt. The desert night wraps around Alex like an old friend as she navigates through the twisted arroyos, her movements precise and deliberate. The coordinates are burned into her memory. 30 paces west of the lightning-struck saguaro, 12 feet down beneath a shelf of red rock. Her fingers brush against familiar terrain until they find the hidden seam. 3 years ago, she buried this insurance policy, hoping she'd never need it. The cash comes free with a soft whisper of shifting sand, revealing a waterproof case that holds echoes of her previous life. Inside, everything remains exactly as she left it. Advanced night vision goggles, date cord, C, for charges, and a garrote wire that's seen more action than she cares to remember. Each item represents a skill set her Border Patrol colleagues would never suspect she possesses. The tactical vest fits like a second skin, its weight comforting after years of lighter gear. She methodically checks each piece of equipment, muscle memory from countless pre-mission rituals taking over. The radio scanner picks up cartel chatter. They're still searching. The area convinced their ambush succeeded. Their overconfidence will be their undoing. Moving like a shadow through the desert terrain, Alex tracks the cartel's vehicle signatures. Their convoy has set up a staging area 2 miles north, using abandoned mining equipment as cover. She counts 8 vehicles, mostly modified pickup trucks with reinforced bumpers and hidden compartments. The guards are posted in predictable patterns, another mistake that speaks to their military training, but also their limitations. She begins her work with surgical precision. The first charge goes under the fuel tank of their lead vehicle, rigged to a remote detonator. The second and third follow similar placements, each one positioned to create a cascade of destruction. But it's the fourth charge that brings a grim smile to her face. Placed directly beneath the camera equipment they used to document their supposed victory, a guard passes within feet of her position, his boots crunching on loose gravel. Alex becomes one with the shadows, her breathing shallow and controlled. The guard pauses, something triggering his instincts, but years of SEAL training have taught her how to vanish completely. After a moment, he moves on, unaware of how close he came to death. The final phase of her plan requires perfect timing. From her go bag, she retrieves a Border Patrol uniform identical to the one she wore earlier. The blood on it is pig's blood, carefully preserved with anticoagulants to maintain its fresh appearance. She arranges the decoy with meticulous attention to detail, positioning it to suggest a failed attempt at escape. Dawn approaches, painting the eastern sky in shades of purple and gold. The cartel members begin to stir, their night watch changing shifts. Alex observes through her night vision as they discover her handiwork, the planted uniform, the convincing blood trail. Their celebrations begin cautiously at first, then with increasing bravado as they take trophy photos. Next to what they believe is her corpse. She watches through her scope as they pass around bottles of tequila, their guard dropping with each toast to their success. Their leader, a man with a scorpion tattooed on his neck, poses with the bloodied uniform for their cameraman. The same camera that recorded their ambush now documents their celebration, creating evidence of their own hubris. Alex's thumb hovers over the detonator as she waits for the perfect moment. The sun crests the horizon, its first rays catching on the metal of their vehicles. The timing must be exact, not just for maximum damage, but for psychological impact. These men don't just need to die. They need to understand their mistake in their final moments. The celebration reaches its peak as the scorpion-tattooed leader raises a bottle in mock salute to their fallen prey. Alex allows herself a small smile as she presses the detonator. In the heartbeat before the explosion, she whispers to herself, "Lesson 1: never underestimate your target." The blast transforms the dawn into day, a chain reaction that turns their celebration into chaos. Vehicle after vehicle erupts, sending shrapnel and flames into the morning sky. The carefully placed charges create a symphony of destruction, each explosion driving the survivors toward her pre-planned kill zones. Through her scope, she watches the scorpion-tattooed leader stumble away from the inferno. His face shows the dawning realization that they've walked into a trap. As he reaches for his radio to call for backup, Alex lines up her shot. The bullet catches him in the shoulder, not a kill shot, but a message. She wants him alive to report back to spread the word that they've awakened something far more dangerous than a simple Border Patrol agent. In the chaos, none of them notice the small note pinned to what they thought was her corpse, but they'll find it soon enough, and its message will send shivers through the cartel's ranks. Talk. You're it. The desert wind carries the sound of approaching vehicles, cartel reinforcements responding to the explosion. Alex melts away into the landscape, already planning her next move. She's given them their first lesson in humility, but the class is far from over. Now they'll learn what it means to hunt a seal. The desert transforms as the storm approaches, winds whipping sand. Into an impenetrable curtain, Alex tastes metal and ozone in the air, nature providing perfect cover for her hunt. Through thermal imaging, she tracks 4 cartel scouts moving in pairs, their heat signatures bright against the cooling desert floor. They sweep the area with professional precision, but they're looking for a wounded animal, not a predator. Her first target separates from his partner to check a ravine. Alex moves like water through the growing storm, her footsteps lost in the howling wind. The scout never hears her approach. The Garrote wire slides across his throat with practiced efficiency, and she drags him backward into the shadows. She arranges his body carefully, not hidden, but positioned to send a message. His weapons laid out in a precise cross, dog tags. She collected from her go bag, placed carefully in his hands. Let them wonder how a simple Border Patrol agent knows military burial rites. The storm intensifies, visibility dropping to mere feet. Alex becomes one with the maelstrom, using the disorientation to her advantage. The second scout calls out for his partner, voice tight with growing concern. She watches him through her thermal scope as he discovers the body, observes his hands shaking as he reaches for his radio. The transmission never goes through. She's already looped their frequencies, feeding them static and ghost echoes of their own communications. Moving to higher ground, Alex surveys the cartel's hastily established base camp. Their vehicles form a defensive circle, lights cutting uselessly into the storm. She counts 12 men, their movements becoming more erratic as fear takes hold. They've doubled their guard rotation, but fear makes them sloppy. Through her scope, she watches them checking shadows, jumping at the storm's howls. The water supply proves to be their biggest vulnerability. 2 large tanks mounted on their transport truck, meant for extended desert operations. Alex times the guard rotations, noting the gap in coverage when they change shifts. The sedative from her medical kit dissolves perfectly, tasteless and slow-acting. She adds just enough to disorient, not incapacitate. She wants them afraid, not unconscious. Hours pass as the storm reaches its peak. The sedative begins its work, subtle at first. A guard stumbles on his patrol. Another misses an obvious signal. Fear and chemicals work together, making them see movement in every shadow. Alex cultivates their terror methodically, using tricks learned in operations that don't exist in any official record. A tripwire sends equipment crashing at random intervals. Stripped shell casings hung on nearly invisible wire chime in the wind, creating phantom footsteps. The third scout dies silently, pulled into a drainage culvert. She poses him like the others, adding new elements to the tableau, his rifle field stripped. With mechanical precision, each part laid out in perfect alignment. Only someone with advanced weapons training would know this particular pattern. She takes his phone before disappearing back into the storm. Through her night vision, Alex observes the psychological deterioration of the cartel forces. Their formation begins to break down as exhaustion and fear take their toll. The 4th scout proves the easiest target. He's so focused on watching the shadows that he never checks above. She drops from an overhead rock formation, the killing smooth and efficient. This body she arranges differently, seated against a rock, hands folded in his lap, facing the camp, a watcher in the darkness. The phone proves to be a goldmine of intelligence. Alex cracks its security using skills learned in a classified NSA cross-training program. Text messages reveal supply routes, safe houses, and encrypted communications. But it's a voice message that stops her cold. The voice is immediately recognizable. Senator Morrison, his distinctive Carolina drawl, impossible to mistake. The border agent needs to be eliminated. Morrison's voice comes through clearly despite the encryption. She's been asking questions about the missing persons cases, getting too close to our operation. Make it look like cartel violence. You have authorization to use whatever force necessary. The message continues, revealing layers of corruption that extend far beyond a simple cartel hit. Offshore accounts, human trafficking operations, political protection bought and paid for in blood money. Alex's hands tighten on the phone as Morrison's voice drips with casual cruelty, discussing death like a business transaction. Then comes the part that makes her blood freeze. Once it's done, clean up everyone involved. L.L. Cohn, your men, anyone who could connect this back to us. No loose ends. A pause. Then with cold finality, if she's not dead, finish the job. No loose ends. The storm begins to abate, the first light of dawn threatening the eastern horizon. Alex watches the surviving cartel members huddle in their vehicles, jumping at shadows. They don't realize they're caught between two predators now, a ghost in the storm and a politician who plans to bury them along with his secrets. She pockets the phone, its evidence secured for later use. The storm has served its purpose, breaking their confidence and revealing the true nature of their mission. Now it's time to change tactics. These men are no longer just cartel soldiers. They're pawns in a bigger game, one that leads straight to Washington. The last of the storm clouds race across the pre-dawn sky as Alex begins planning her next move. Morrison's betrayal of these men presents an opportunity. Nothing unravels a criminal enterprise faster than internal distrust. She retrieves a satellite phone from her go bag, her fingers hovering over the keypad. One call to her old SEAL team commander could bring resources she might need, but it would also paint a target on anyone who helps her. No, this has to stay contained, personal, the kind of operation that exists in the shadows between official, response, and vigilante justice. She's worked in that gray area before, during missions that required perfect deniability. The sun rises over the desert, revealing the aftermath of her night's work. For bodies arranged in a pattern only military personnel would recognize. A dozen more men broken by fear and chemicals, their confidence shattered, and one ghost, watching it all through the lens of revenge and duty. Alex checks her weapons and supplies, mentally calculating her next moves. The cartel will regroup, probably call in reinforcements. Morrison will want confirmation of her death, and when he doesn't get it, he'll send more skilled operators. The game is evolving, becoming more complex with each passing hour, but complexity is where she thrives. In the shadows between right and wrong, in the space between law and justice. They thought they were hunting a simple Border Patrol agent, but instead they've awakened something far more dangerous, a weapon forged in classified operations, tempered by loss, and driven by a code that transcends ordinary law enforcement. The real hunt is just beginning. Dawn breaks over a desolate stretch of desert as L.L. Cohn paces the length of an abandoned ranch house, his boots leaving perfect prints in the dust. The structure's weathered walls conceal sophisticated surveillance equipment, screens displaying thermal imaging of the at-attention, aware that delivering bad news often proves fatal. In this organization, through the surveillance feeds, they watch their perimeter teams sweeping the area. After the night's losses, L.L. Cohn has tripled security, bringing in veterans from his private military force. These aren't street thugs with guns. They're former special forces from a half-dozen countries. Men who view death as a business. Transaction. A radio crackles with static-laden updates. No sign of the Border Patrol agent's body. No blood trail leading away from the ambush site. Just empty desert and growing questions. L.L. Cohn's fingers trace the edge of his custom desert. Eagle, its grip worn smooth from years of use. In the ranch house basement, a captured migrant watches the door with increasing dread. He made the mistake of crossing this stretch of desert at the wrong time, witnessing things powerful men want kept secret. The door opens, flooding the room with harsh light. L.L. Cohn descends the stairs, each step measured and deliberate. Meanwhile, 2 miles away, Alex monitors their communications through hijack frequencies. The encryption is military grade, but nothing she hasn't cracked before in operations that don't officially exist. She logs each transmission, building a pattern of patrol routes and security rotations. Their radio discipline is impressive. These aren't cartel foot soldiers, but professional operators. The lieutenant's voice comes through clearly. Grid Sector 7 clear, moving to establish new observation post at the ridgeline. Alex marks his position on her tactical map. The lieutenant, she remembers him from the ambush, the one who called out for her surrender. He's the weak link in their chain of command, too eager to prove himself. Through her thermal scope, Alex watches Alcon's men fortify the ranch house. Their patrol patterns suggest formal military training, but she spots gaps in their coverage. Blind spots created by the terrain that no amount of manpower can fully secure. She begins formulating her approach, marking entry and exit routes. The migrants' muffled cries carry through her directional microphone. Alcon's questioning grows more intense, demanding information about movement in the storm, about shadows that walked like ghosts through the darkness. The migrant knows nothing, but terror and pain make people desperate to provide answers. Any answers? Alex checks her watch. 2 hours until sunset. The ranch house's security will tighten at nightfall. Thermal imaging, motion sensors, night vision equipment that rivals military gear. But she's worked with better, trained with better, become something better in the darkness between official missions and Class I. Fight operations. She begins her approach using techniques perfected in a dozen war zones. The desert itself becomes her ally, each rock formation offering cover, each shadow providing concealment. She moves during guard rotations, timing her advances to the predictable patterns of professional soldiers who've grown too confident in their technology. The lieutenant's new observation post provides the opportunity she needs. He's positioned his team well, covering all obvious approaches to the ranch house, but he's forgotten to watch his own back, too focused on protecting his boss to consider himself a target. Alex takes his team down silently, efficiently, no gunshots, no alerts, just the whisper of carbon fiber blades and the soft thump of bodies hitting sand. She leaves them breathing, unconscious, zip-tied, hidden in the growing shadows. The lieutenant she keeps for last, watching him through her scope as he realizes his radio checks are going unanswered. The sun touches the horizon as she makes her final approach to the ranch house. The lieutenant's security codes, properly persuaded, give her access to their surveillance feeds. She watches Alcon through his own cameras as he returns to the basement, his frustration growing with each failed attempt to extract useful information. Alex orchestrates her diversion with surgical precision. A series of small explosions at the perimeter draw their attention outward, while synchronized EMPs knock out specific cameras in her planned infiltration route. The guards respond exactly as their training dictates, textbook movements that make them predictable. The basement door splinters under her breaching charge. Alcon's men react with professional speed, but she's already moving. The first guard takes a tranquilizer round to the neck. The second finds himself choking on his own blood before he can raise the alarm. Alex flows through the darkness like liquid death, each movement economical and precise. She reaches the migrant as Alcon's boots thunder on the stairs above. The door locks automatically, another security measure she's turned to her advantage. Through the reinforced steel, she hears him barking orders, mobilizing his men for a full sweep of the compound. Alex cuts the migrant's restraints, administering emergency first aid with practiced efficiency. His eyes widen as she produces a syringe. Painkiller and stimulant, she explains softly. You'll need it to move. The injection works quickly, dulling his pain while sharpening his senses. Their escape route takes them through maintenance, tunnels beneath the ranch house, access points installed during the property's brief life as a cartel safe house. Alex navigates the darkness from memory, having studied blueprints pulled from county records. The migrant follows silently, moving better now as the medication takes effect. Above them, Alcon discovers his lieutenant. Alex has left him exactly as promised, strung up in barbed wire, a living warning to those who target the wrong prey. His screams echo through the compound as field medics work to extract him from his predicament without causing more damage. The desert night swallows Alex and the migrant as they clear the ranch house's perimeter. She guides him to a cached vehicle, an unmarked SUV positioned days ago for exactly this contingency. As she helps him into the passenger seat, his hand catches her arm. The warehouse, he whispers, his voice raw from screaming. They're moving them tonight. Girls, dozens of them. A warehouse near Tucson. His eyes flutter as exhaustion battles with the stimulant. You have to stop them. Alex's jaw tightens as pieces click into place. The senator's involvement. The cartels increase security. The timing of their ambush. This isn't just about border violence or drug trafficking. They've stumbled onto something far darker. She helps the migrant settle more comfortably in his seat. Rest, she tells him. You're safe now. But even as she says the words, her mind is already planning the next phase. The warehouse will be heavily guarded, probably with the same caliber of operators she's been facing. Good. She's tired of playing defense. The SUV disappears into the desert night as behind them. El Alcon's compound erupts in chaos. The lieutenant's delirious screams mix with security alarms and shouted orders, but Alex doesn't hear any of it. Her focus has shifted entirely to the warehouse, to the innocent lives hanging in the balance. They thought hunting a Border Patrol agent would be simple. Instead, they've awakened something far more dangerous. A weapon forged in shadows, tempered by classified operations, driven by a code that transcends ordinary law enforcement. The hunt continues, but the stakes have changed. It's no longer about survival or revenge. Now it's about justice. Moonlight glints off razor wire coiled atop the warehouse fence as a transport truck approaches the gate. Alex lies motionless in the cargo hold, her wrists bound with breakaway restraints beneath a layer of authentic-looking rope. Her breathing stays measured and shallow as the truck stops for inspection. Guards circle the vehicle, their boots crunching on gravel. The cargo door groans open. Flashlight beams sweep across her form. Lingering on the bruises she's carefully applied with stage makeup. She keeps her eyes half closed, portraying the perfect image of a semi-conscious captive. One guard prods her with his rifle barrel. She allows her head to loll, earning a satisfied grunt. Another one for processing. The driver says, passing paperwork through his window. Alex catalogs every sound. The rustle of papers, the guards, radio squelch, the distant hum of industrial air conditioning. Her SEAL training had included detailed lessons on gathering intelligence while appearing unconscious. Now, those skills might save dozens of lives. The warehouse door rolls upward with a metallic screech. Engine noise echoes off concrete walls as they drive inside. Through slitted eyes, Alex maps the interior, support columns, surveillance cameras, guard positions. 2 levels of catwalks provide overwatch. She counts 14 armed personnel, all with military-grade weapons and tactical gear. They drag her roughly from the truck, her body remaining carefully limp. Her trained senses absorb every detail: the smell of oil and cigarette smoke, the way sound bounces off the metal walls, the subtle signs of recent construction. This facility was purpose-built for human trafficking, designed to process people like cargo. A guard gestures toward a holding area where other women sit huddled on metal benches. Put her with the others until processing. Perfect. Exactly where she needs to be. They drop her onto a bench, not bothering to check her restraints. Another mistake that will cost them dearly. Alex keeps her pose for 20 minutes, slowly regaining consciousness while studying the facility's security patterns. Guards rotate positions every 15 minutes. Camera coverage is professional, but not perfect. There are blind spots near the support columns. The fire suppression system looks newly installed, suggesting recent renovations. A woman next to her whispers in Spanish, offering comfort. Alex responds with the barest head movement, a signal for silence. Years of covert operations have taught her that the smallest gesture can betray an infiltration. She continues her assessment while appearing to drift in and out of awareness. The guards are well-trained, but overconfident. They maintain radio discipline and proper patrol routes, but their attention focuses outward, watching for external threats. They never consider that death has already slipped past their defenses, wearing the face of a victim. Alex times her move carefully, waiting for the guard rotation. Her fingers work at the breakaway restraints while she catalogs potential weapons. Broken bottles from the trash could provide sharp edges. Zip ties from the supply crates could become improvised garrots. Even the bench's metal frame could be weaponized if necessary. The fire alarm panel catches her attention. An older model with exposed wiring near the floor. One spark would trigger the system, creating the chaos she needs. But first, she has to get the other captives ready to move. She begins whispering instructions, keeping her lips still to avoid camera detection. When the alarm sounds, stay low and move toward the north exit. Don't stop. Don't look back. The women pass the message along in whispers, their terror slowly transforming into desperate hope. Alex continues gathering intel, noting guard reaction times to small disturbances. Every detail could mean the difference between success and catastrophe. She makes her move during the next rotation. The breakaway restraints split silently as she slides toward the fire alarm panel. Her fingers find the exposed wiring, muscle, memory from demolition training guiding her movements. A quick twist, a spark, and the alarm screams to life. The response is immediate. Sprinklers activate, drenching the warehouse floor. Guards shout orders, momentarily distracted by the chaos. Alex becomes a ghost in the artificial rain, moving from shadow to shadow with lethal grace. The first guard dies silently, a zip tie converted to a garrote cutting off his air supply. She takes the second guard's knife before he realizes she's behind him. The third manages a short cry before a broken bottle opens his throat. Each death is quick, efficient, designed to avoid attention in the growing chaos. The captives move as instructed, staying low, using the confusion to reach the exit. Alex methodically clears the ground floor, improvising weapons as needed. A piece of pipe becomes a club. Extension cords become bindings. She flows through the warehouse like a deadly shadow, each movement calculated for maximum effect with minimum noise. The guards on the catwalks realize something's wrong when their radio checks go unanswered. They begin sweeping the warehouse with professional precision, but they're looking in the wrong places. Alex uses their own tactics against them, striking from blind spots, disappearing before they can respond. The last guard on the upper level dies reaching for his radio, her knife finding the soft spot beneath his body armor. Alex appropriates his weapon, checking the magazine. The familiar weight of the rifle centers her as she moves toward the control room. From there, she can secure the facility and contact authorities. That's when she hears it, the distinctive sound of helicopter rotors approaching fast. Through the warehouse skylights, she spots matte black shapes descending from the night sky. El Alcon's rapid response team, arriving sooner than expected, and at their center, a figure carrying something that makes her blood run cold. The flamethrower's pilot light casts hellish shadows as El Alcon strides through the warehouse doors. Water from the sprinklers beads off his tactical gear as he surveys the scene. Dead guards, empty holding cells, his operation in ruins. His voice carries over the alarm's wail. "I underestimated you, Ghost." His eyes scan the catwalks, searching for movement. A mistake I won't repeat. He adjusts the flamethrower's controls, its pilot light burning brighter. No more games, no more shadows. Alex calculates angles, distances, potential escape routes. The remaining captives are almost clear, but the helicopter teams will have the exits covered. She needs to buy more time, create another distraction. Her fingers find a grenade on her borrowed tactical vest. El Alcon's voice echoes off metal walls. "You think you're a hunter, but you're just another dead woman walking." The flamethrower's nozzle sweeps across the warehouse floor. There's nowhere left to hide. A smile touches Alex's lips as she removes the grenade's pin. She's never been hiding. She's been hunting. These men still don't understand what they're dealing with. They see a Border Patrol agent playing soldier. They don't recognize a predator. In their midst, El Alcon's finger tightens on the trigger. Burn it all! The warehouse erupts in flames as Alex's grenade arcs through the air, its trajectory calculated to perfection. The real war is about to begin. Fire transforms the warehouse into a vision of hell as Alex rolls clear of El Alcon's initial blast. The grenade detonates above his position, forcing him to dive for cover. She uses the momentary distraction to sprint across the catwalk, metal groaning beneath her feet as the heat intensifies. Below, Chaos erupts as Alcon's men scramble to contain both the fire and the escaping hostages. The sprinkler system fights a losing battle against the industrial-grade flamethrower, creating a steam-filled war zone of shadow and flame. Alex spots a group of hostages trapped behind a wall of fire, their faces illuminated by the inferno. Her mind races through options, calculating risks against probability of success. The warehouse's construction plans flash through her memory. She had studied them extensively during infiltration planning. There's a maintenance tunnel beneath the loading dock, originally designed for waste disposal. If she can reach the control room, she can trigger the emergency drainage system. Alcon's voice booms through the smoke. "You can't save them all, Ghost." Another stream of fire cuts through the steam, forcing Alex to roll behind a support column. The metal sizzles against her back as she checks her borrowed tactical vest. 2 magazines, 3 flashbangs, a combat knife, and the dead guard's radio. Not much, but she's worked with less. She keys the radio, mimicking the guard commander's voice pattern, fire spreading to chemical storage. All units evacuate Sector 3. The response is immediate. Half of Alcon's men redirect to the non-existent threat, their training working against them. Alex allows herself a grim smile. Sometimes the best weapons are psychological. The hostages' terror is visible, even through the smoke. Alex drops to a lower catwalk closer to their position. "Stay low," she shouts in Spanish, her voice carrying authority that cuts through their panic. "Follow the wall to your right. There's a corridor that leads to the loading dock." A support beam crashes down, showering the area with sparks. Alex spots something that changes her tactical approach. Emergency fuel lines running along the ceiling, feeding the warehouse's backup. Generators. Those lines connect to external storage tanks. If she can redirect the fire's path, Alcon seems to read her mind. "You're thinking like a soldier," he taunts, moving through the smoke like a demon, "but this is my domain. I burn better than you." The flamethrower's pilot light casts his face in hellish relief. Alex recognizes the look in his eyes. She's seen it before in war zones, the intoxication of wielding destructive power. She makes her decision. Everyone down. The command carries the weight of battlefield experience. The hostages drop instinctively as Alex fires 3 precise shots. The first bullet ruptures the fuel line above Alcon's position. The second ignites the spraying fuel. The third hits a pressure valve, redirecting the flames toward the external tanks. The explosion rocks the warehouse foundation. Chain reactions ripple through the building as fuel lines rupture and ignite. Alcon screams in rage as fire consumes his position, forcing him back. The flamethrower's tank takes damage, venting fuel in a deadly spray. Alex uses the chaos to move. She drops from the catwalk, rolling to absorb impact, and sprints toward the trapped hostages. Years of training take over as she guides them through the smoke, using her body as a shield against falling debris. Stay together. Move fast. They reach the maintenance tunnel access as another explosion rocks the building. Alex rips open the E-panel, revealing the escape route. Follow this tunnel 300 meters north. You'll reach a drainage outlet. She hands a radio to the group's leader. Channel 3 is emergency services. Call for help when you're clear. But she can't follow them yet. The security office remains intact, protected by reinforced walls. If there's evidence linking the senator to this operation, it will be there. Alex checks her oxygen levels. 10 minutes before smoke inhalation becomes critical. The office door yields to breaching charges as secondary explosions continue to tear through the warehouse. Alex moves quickly, efficiently, searching for the main server. There, a hardened case designed to survive building collapse. Her fingers fly across the keyboard, muscle memory from NSA training taking over. Security footage fills the screen. She scrubs through recent files, looking for anything involving high-level meetings. A folder marked insurance catches her attention. The video quality is exceptional, showing a private room within the warehouse. The timestamp is from 3 days ago. Senator Morrison enters the frame, his Carolina drawl carrying clearly through the audio. The Border Patrol problem will be handled. Your routes will remain clear. He accepts a briefcase, opening it to check the contents. Stacks of cash gleam under industrial lighting. Alex's breath catches as another figure enters the frame. She recognizes him instantly. Colonel Hassan, the Afghan warlord her team had been hunting, when the memory hits her like physical pain. Her fiancé, bleeding out in her arms after taking a bullet meant for Morrison. The senator had promised to protect their unit, to keep their mission classified. Instead, he had buried the truth and made deals with the devil. The footage continues, showing Morrison and Hassan discussing shipping routes, protection payments, human trafficking quotas. Each word is another betrayal, another nail in the coffin of Alex's faith in the system she once served. A final explosion rocks the building, larger than the others. The external fuel tanks have ignited, creating a chain reaction that will bring down the entire structure. Alex copies the files to a secure drive as concrete begins to rain from the ceiling. Time's up. She makes it 30 feet into the maintenance tunnel when the warehouse collapses behind her. The shockwave throws her forward as tons of burning debris seal the passage. In the distance, sirens wail, emergency services responding. To multiple explosions on the outskirts of Tucson, Alex checks the drive, confirming the data survived. The evidence is secure, but its implications are staggering. Morrison isn't just corrupt, he's actively working with the same terrorists her team have been fighting in Afghanistan, the same men responsible for her fiancé's death, the maintenance. Tunnel opens into cool, desert air as emergency vehicles converge on the burning warehouse. Alex melts into the shadows, her mind already formulating the next phase. She has what she needs now: proof of Morrison's treason, evidence of his cartel connections. But something nags at her tactical sense. The senator's involvement with Hassan suggests an operation far larger than border smuggling. There are pieces missing, connections she hasn't yet uncovered. The briefcase in the video, she's seen that design before in classified briefings about terrorist financing. Alex finds her cached vehicle as dawn begins to paint. The sky, the secure drive feels heavy in her pocket, weighted with implications and possibilities. Morrison will know by now that his operation is compromised. He'll take precautions, activate contingency plans. Good. Let him run. Let him hide. Let him feel the fear of being hunted, because that's what this is now, a hunt. Not for revenge, though that would be satisfaction enough. This is about justice, about exposing a cancer that reaches from desert trafficking routes all the way wide to Washington's corridors of power. Alex starts the engine as the sun crests the horizon. Behind her, the warehouse burns like a funeral pyre, marking the end of one phase and the beginning of another. Morrison thought he could bury the truth in classified files and desert graves. He's about to learn how wrong he was. The Phoenix skyline glitters like broken glass as Alex studies the Westbrook Hotel through her surveillance scope. Senator Morrison's fundraiser occupies the top 3 floors, a black tie affair for donors with deep pockets and flexible morals. Security teams patrol the perimeter with professional precision, their earpieces betraying Secret Service presence. She's been watching for 6 hours, logging patrol patterns and security rotations. The senator's protective detail runs a tight operation, but Alex spots the gaps in their coverage. They're trained to stop conventional threats: assassins, kidnappers, terrorists. They've never hunted ghosts. The hotel's service entrance provides her infiltration point. Alex adjusts her catering uniform, the fabric tailored to conceal ceramic plates and tactical gear. Her weapons are non-metallic, carbon fiber knives, polymer pistol components, equipment designed to bypass security scanners. The senator's security might be good, but she trained with better. A delivery truck approaches the loading dock right on schedule. Alex times her movement perfectly, slipping into the stream of catering staff during shift change. Her forged credentials pass inspection as she pushes a cart loaded with champagne bottles. The guard barely glances at her face, another mistake born of routine. The service elevator opens onto the hotel's kitchen level. Organized chaos greets her. Servers rushing between stations, chefs barking orders, the controlled frenzy of high-end food service. Alex moves with practiced efficiency, her body language matching the hurried staff around her. Years of covert operations taught her that blending in requires more than just the right uniform. She catches fragments of conversation as she works. Morrison plans to announce his presidential campaign committee tonight. The timing makes sense. Establish a public platform before any evidence surfaces. Alex's intelligence suggests he's already moving assets offshore, preparing for possible exposure. The ballroom security checkpoint approaches. 2 Secret Service agents flank a metal detector, watching staff with professional detachment. Alex maintains her pace, keeping her breathing steady as she pushes through. The scanner remains silent, her specialized gear performing as designed. Inside the ballroom, crystal chandeliers cast warm light over Seattle's political elite. Alex circulates with champagne, cataloging faces and positions. Morrison holds court near the stage, surrounded by admirers and donors. His security detail maintains discreet distance, watching without being obvious. She studies the senator's face, handsome in a political way, confidence born of power and impunity. His laugh carries across the room as he shares some private joke. This man ordered her death, betrayed her team, and now stands poised to reach even greater heights of power. The weight of her pistol feels heavy against her ribs, but this isn't about assassination. She needs him alive, needs him to lead her to the rest of his operation. The evidence from the warehouse proves his cartel connections, but there's more. The terrorist financing angle suggests a network that extends beyond border politics. Alex continues her circuit, timing the senator's movements. He's following a pattern: 15 minutes with each major donor group, 5-minute breaks for private. Calls his next scheduled break approaches. She positions herself near the service corridor that leads to the parking garage. Morrison excuses himself, right on schedule, 2 security guards falling into step behind him. Alex shadows their movement, maintaining perfect distance. The corridor cameras pan on 4-second intervals. She times her advance between sweeps, a ghost in the blind spots. The parking garage offers better tactical options, support columns for cover, multiple exit routes, poor camera coverage. Morrison's guards post themselves at the elevator as he makes his call. Their positioning is professional but predictable. They're watching for obvious threats, not a shadow that moves like death. Alex closes the distance. As Morrison ends his call, her voice carries just enough to freeze him in place. "Hello, Senator. We need to talk about Afghanistan." He turns slowly, political smile firmly in place, but she sees the recognition in his eyes, the momentary flash of fear before his training takes over. The ghost herself: "I wondered if you'd come. Your cartel friends failed." Alex keeps him centered in her sights, maintaining awareness of his guards' positions. "Just like you failed my team," Morrison's smile doesn't waver. "Your fiancé was a soldier. He understood sacrifice for the greater good." His hands remain casually in his pockets. "The world runs on compromise, Agent Reyes, on deals made in shadows. You traded American lives for cartel money. The accusation hangs in the garage air. Made deals with the same terrorists we were fighting. Terrorists, freedom fighters, businessmen. Labels change with political convenience." His confidence grows as he speaks. "Your fiancé died protecting me because he believed in duty, in following orders." The smile turns predatory. "Such a waste. He died for nothing, just like you will." The guards begin to turn at his words, but Alex is already moving. The first guard's knee shatters with a precise strike. The second reaches for his weapon and finds empty air, his sidearm already in her hands, stripped and cleared in one fluid motion. Morrison's eyes widen as she disables his protection in seconds. The political mask slips, revealing something darker beneath. "Do it," he snarls. "Prove you're the killer they trained you to be." Alex keeps him centered in her sights. One squeeze of the trigger would end it. Justice delivered in 9 millimeters of lead. But that would make him a martyr, his secrets dying with him. She needs him alive, needs him to expose the entire network. "Not yet, Senator." She moves like liquid shadow, placing the tracker as she steps away. "First, you're gonna lead me to the rest of them." His laugh echoes off concrete walls. "You think this ends with me? The system you're fighting? It's bigger than cartels, bigger than politics." He straightens his tie with steady hands. "You're already dead. You just don't know it yet." Alex melts into the shadows as backup responds to the guard's distress signals. Morrison's voice carries across the garage. "Find her. I want confirmation." But she's already gone, a ghost among the support columns. The tracker shows active on her phone military-grade tech that makes civilian counter-surveillance useless. Through her earpiece, a familiar voice speaks. "Package is transmitting. All teams in position. Copy that." Alex watches Morrison's car exit the garage, trailed by additional security. Time to burn the whole nest. The senator thinks he's untouchable, protected by layers of security and political influence. He doesn't realize he's already caught in a web of his own making. The tracker will lead her to his secret meetings, his offshore accounts, the entire network of corruption and betrayal. Above, the fundraiser continues. Champagne flowing, deals being made, power changing hands and whispered conversations. But beneath the surface, a storm is gathering. Alex checks her weapons as she exits the hotel through pre-planned routes. Phase 3 is complete. The real war is about to begin. Dawn bleeds across the desert sky as Alex studies the video for the 4th time. The hostage execution looks convincing. Professional lighting, multiple camera angles, the kind of production value cartels use to spread terror. But something feels wrong. The video's metadata contains hidden coordinates, an obvious breadcrumb trail leading to a remote stretch of border. Through her tactical scope, she surveys the designated meeting point, a natural bowl formation in the desert terrain, ringed by elevated positions perfect for sniper nests, too perfect. Her thermal imaging picks up faint heat signatures from recently disturbed Earth, distinctive patterns that trigger memories of counter-IED training. El Alcone has seeded the entire approach with mines, not military-grade explosives, but sophisticated cartel weapons designed to maim rather than kill. The pattern suggests a funnel meant to drive her toward preset kill zones. It's the kind of trap that would work against normal operators, but El Alcone has never fought a ghost. A cartel surveillance drone buzzes overhead, maintaining a search pattern. Alex tracks its movements through her scope, noting the flight path and altitude. Civilian hardware, but heavily modified. Thermal imaging, enhanced range, probably signal boosters for remote operation. Another piece of the trap, but one she can turn to her advantage. She unpacks her electronic warfare kit, equipment liberated from classified operations that technically don't exist. The drone's control frequency proves easy to isolate. Cartel techs are good, but they've never faced NSA-grade countermeasures. Alex's fingers dance across her tablet, executing a bypass that gives her access to the drone systems. The hijack feed reveals El Alcone's full deployment. 20 men in elevated positions. Another dozen patrolling the ground. Heavy weapons staged at key points, including a .50 caliber machine gun that could tear through any cover she might find. The hostage video plays on a loop from speakers mounted around the perimeter. Psychological warfare meant to draw her into a mistake. Alex begins her approach from an unexpected angle, using the drone's thermal imaging to map safe routes between the mines. The cartel soldiers maintain professional discipline, but their attention focuses outward, watching for a frontal assault. They never consider that death might come from within their own perimeter. The first explosion catches them completely off guard. Alex uses the drone to detonate a cluster of mines beneath their northern sniper nest, the blast scattering their formation. Confusion erupts as commanders try to determine if they're under attack or suffering equipment malfunction. She triggers 2 more detonations, carefully positioned to drive their forces toward pre-selected kill zones. El Alcone's voice cuts through their comm channels, steady despite the chaos. She's playing with us, watching us. His tactical insight proves sharp as ever. Check the drone. Now! But Alex has already released control, letting the drone resume its original flight path. She's moving through the confusion like a ghost, using their own mind patterns for cover. The first cartel soldier dies silently, her garrote wire ending his watch before he can raise the alarm. The second manages a short cry before her knife finds his throat. The .50 cal position becomes her first priority target. The heavy weapon could pin her down, deny movement options she might need later. Alex times her approach between sweeps of the remaining sniper teams. The gunner never sees her coming. She takes his sidearm before dropping him, the suppressed shot lost in the desert wind. More explosions rock the perimeter as she triggers mines in carefully selected patterns. The blasts drive El Alcon's men into predictable response formations, making them easy targets for the captured .50. Each burst cuts down another group, professionals reduced to panic by an enemy they can't see or fight. El Alcon's voice carries across the killing ground, tinged with something that might be admiration. Impressive, Ghost, using our own defenses against us. A pause as more explosions illuminate the pre-dawn sky. But you've forgotten something crucial. The fake hostage video cuts out, replaced by live footage. A young girl, no more than 12, tied to a chair in what looks like a cave entrance. El Alcon steps into frame, his customary tactical gear supplemented by a ghillie suit for sniper work. The video is bait, yes, but the hostage is very real. His voice carries both threat and challenge. Face me, Ghost, sniper against sniper, or the girl dies slowly. Alex calculates angles and options as she watches through her scope. The cave entrance offers limited visibility, but the defensive position is strong. El Alcon has chosen his ground well. Any direct approach would be suicide. She triggers another series of mines, using the explosions as cover to change positions. El Alcon's first shot misses her by inches, kicking up sand where she stood. A heartbeat before, the man knows his craft. That shot would have killed a less experienced operator. Your reputation does you justice, he calls out. The ghost who hunts cartels, the shadow that strikes from darkness. Another shot cracks across the desert, forcing Alex to roll behind cover. But shadows die in daylight. Dawn approaches as they begin their lethal dance. Alex uses the terrain for concealment, never staying in one position long enough to present a target. El Alcon responds with methodical precision, each shot coming closer as he learns her patterns. A bullet grazes her arm, the pain sharp but manageable. Alex returns fire, forcing El Alcon to duck behind cover. She uses the moment to advance, closing the distance in careful increments. The girl watches their duel with wide eyes, tears cutting tracks through desert dust. You're good, El Alcon acknowledges after another exchange of fire. Better than anyone I've hunted, but can you beat time? He gestures toward the eastern sky, where dawn threatens to rob Alex of her shadowy advantage. The sun rises ghost, and ghosts fade in daylight. Alex lines up her final approach as first light crests the horizon. Her shot is perfect center, mass compensating for wind and elevation. Through her scope, she sees El Alcon's realization that he's lost their duel. But instead of accepting defeat, he moves with surprising speed. His hand tangles in the girl's hair as he drags her in front of him. The child's terrified eyes meet Alex's through the scope. El Alcon's voice carries clearly in the desert morning. Shoot me, and she dies. Dawn paints the desert red as Alex holds her position, finger steady on the trigger. The shot is still there, but the margins for error have vanished. One flinch, 1 millimeter of deviation, and the girl dies. El Alcon's laugh carries across the killing ground. Will it be Ghost, the mission, or the child? Choose quickly. My men are already moving to surround you. Through her scope, Alex watches the girl's expression change from terror to something else, something familiar. The same look she saw in Afghanistan, in the eyes of children who learned too young that monsters were human faces. The shot hangs between heartbeats as the sun rises over a desert painted in blood and shadow. Time slows to a tactical crawl as Alex calculates trajectories and angles. The rising sun silhouettes El Alcon against the cave entrance, his grip tight in the girl's hair. Most operators would hesitate. The shot is nearly impossible, the risk's too high. But Alex isn't most operators. The knife leaves her hand with surgical precision, a carbon fiber blade spinning through morning light. El Alcon's eyes widen a fraction before the blade severs tendons and bone, his grip releasing as his hand falls useless. The girl drops and rolls exactly as Alex's voice commands in rapid Spanish, clearing the line of fire. El Alcon moves with the speed of a wounded predator, drawing his sidearm even as blood sprays from his ruined wrist. Alex is already in motion, closing the distance between them. His first shot goes wide as she slips inside his guard, redirecting his arm with a technical precision born in classified training rooms. "You're dead, Ghost." The words come through clenched teeth as they grapple. El Alcón fights with the desperate strength of a man who knows he's met his match. "Your kind doesn't belong here." Alex flows around his attacks like water, recognizing the pattern of his combat training. Former Mexican Special Forces, probably Gafe, but there's something else. Refinements that speak of CIA advisors and black budget programs. This man was meant to be deniable asset, turned instead to cartel work. Their fight carries them toward the cliff edge, boots scuffing gravel as each seeks advantage. El Alcón's wounded hand puts him at a disadvantage, but he compensates with savage experience. A knee strike slips through Alex's guard, catching her ribs. She turns the impact into momentum, transitioning to an arm lock that threatens a shoulder joint. "Women don't belong in war," he spits, blood flecking his lips. The words carry echoes of older battles, training grounds where instructors said the same thing. El Alcón twists in her grip, nearly breaking free. "You're not a warrior. You're a mistake." Alex feels the familiar calm settle over her. The battle. Focus that turns thought into pure action. Her voice comes soft, but carrying. "No, imagos." The throw is technically perfect, using El Alcón's own momentum against him. He tries to counter, but the cliff edge betrays him. His eyes meet, hers in the moment before gravity takes hold. Professional respect mixed with bitter hatred. Then he falls, his scream fading into the ravine's depths. The girl runs to her as dawn paints the desert gold, tears cutting tracks through dust on her cheeks. Alex checks her for injuries with practiced efficiency, speaking soft reassurance in Spanish, but tactical instincts never rest. She catches the sound of approaching vehicles before their dust trails become visible. 3 black SUVs approach in perfect convoy formation, not cartel. Their driving is too precise, too professional. Through her scope, Alex catches glimpses of tactical gear and military bearing. Senator Morrison's private security team, probably former special operations themselves. She guides the girl to cover as the SUVs fan out in textbook containment pattern. Their doors open in synchronized precision, deploying 12 operators in full tactical gear. Their weapons and movements speak of serious training, not contractors but someone's direct action team. Agent Reyes. The team leader's voice carries across the killing ground. The senator sends his regards. No pretense, no demands for surrender. These men aren't here to arrest her. Nothing personal, just cleaning up loose ends. Alex checks her ammunition as she positions herself behind. Cover. 3 magazines for her primary weapon, 2 backup pieces, a handful of remaining explosives. Not great odds against 12 heavily armed operators, but she's faced worse. The girl catches her arm, speaking rapid Spanish. She knows another way. Ow! A tunnel system beneath the cliffs, used by locals to avoid cartel patrols. Alex nods, maintaining her focus on the approaching team. They're moving with professional caution, expecting resistance. Last chance, Agent Reyes. The team leader signals his men to take firing positions. Don't make this messier than it needs to be. Alex feels the familiar pre-battle calm settle. Over her. These men are good, probably the best money can buy, but they're about to learn what El Alcón discovered too late. Sometimes the most dangerous predators are the ones you don't see coming. She rises from cover with liquid grace, weapons centered on the team leader. Her voice carries across the morning air, steady and determined. Let's dance. The desert erupts in gunfire as the sun climbs higher, painting the cliffs in shades of blood and gold. Time crystallizes into perfect clarity as Alex analyzes the situation. El Alcón holds the girl with practiced cruelty, his grip calculated to cause pain without leaving marks. Through her scope, Alex catches micro-expressions that tell a deeper story. This man has done this before, refined his technique through countless acts of violence. The sun stretches their shadows across desert rock, creating a grotesque tableau of predator and prey. Most operators would see impossible odds, a hostage situation with zero margin for error, a skilled opponent using human shields, multiple hostile forces converging on their position. But Alex's mind works differently, processing tactical data through filters forged in classified operations. She doesn't see problems, she sees vectors, angles, possibilities. The carbon fiber knife rests against her palm, its weight familiar as breathing. The blade's balance is perfect, custom designed for operators who understand that sometimes the best weapon isn't a gun. Alex's fingers find the sweet spot on the grip as she calculates wind speed, distance, and the subtle ways morning air affects projectile trajectories. El Alcon's stance betrays his training. Weight distributed evenly, grip maintaining maximum control while minimizing his exposed target area. Former GAFE operators all move the same way, products of a system that emphasizes ruthless efficiency. But there are other tells in his posture, refinements that speak of CIA enhancement training, the kind of programs that turn soldiers into deniable assets. The knife leaves her hand like liquid mercury, spinning through dawn light with surgical precision. Alex is already moving as the blade flies, her body responding to muscle memory earned in shadow operations. El Alcon's eyes register surprise a fraction of a second before the knife severs tendons and bone, his tactical experience betrayed by human reflex, reta, aura. Alex's command carries the full weight of battlefield authority. The girl responds instantly, rolling clear as El Alcon's ruined hand releases its grip. Training asserts itself through his pain. He's drawing his sidearm, even as blood sprays from his wrist, weapon tracking toward Alex's position with professional speed. But Alex isn't there anymore. She flows through his fire zone like water through stones, closing distance with a force that defies normal human movement. El Alcon's shot goes wide as she slips inside his guard, her hands finding leverage points that turn his own momentum against him. Their bodies connect and separate in a lethal dance, each movement calculated and precise. "You're dead, Ghost." The words carry more than threat. There's frustrated recognition in his voice, the dawning realization that he's fighting something beyond his experience. Your kind doesn't belong here. Alex reads his combat pattern like a familiar book gaff. Close-quarter techniques form the foundation, but there are signature moves that confirm her suspicions about CIA enhancement training. She counters his attacks methodically, recognizing setups for killing techniques she learned in the same classified programs. Their fight carries them across blood-stained ground, boots scuffing desert rock as each seeks advantage. El Alcon compensates for his wounded hand with savage experience, turning disability into unexpected angles of attack. A knee strike slips through Alex's guard, catching her ribs with enough force to crack bone. She absorbs the impact, transforming pain into tactical data, using his commitment to the strike to trap his arm in a joint lock. Women don't belong in war. El Alcon's words carry echoes of 1,000 similar voices. Instructors who said she'd never make it through Bud Yes. Commanders who question her place in special operations. Politicians who saw female operators as publicity stunts rather than warriors. Blood flexes lips as he strains against her hold. "You're not a warrior. You're a mistake." The familiar battle calm settles over Alex like a shroud. In this state, there is no emotion, no past or future. Only the perfect clarity of violence, distilled to its purest form. Her voice emerges soft but carrying, each word precise as a knife. "Thrust. No. Imavost." The throw transcends mere technique, becoming something closer to art. Alex uses El Alcon's own resistance against him, converting his strength into unstoppable momentum. He tries to counter his experience, recognizing the danger an instant too late. The cliff edge crumbles beneath his boots as physics takes hold. Their eyes meet in that final moment. Alex sees something shift in his gaze, professional respect warring with bitter hatred as he recognizes her as an equal in the craft of violence. Then gravity claims him, his scream Dopplering into the ravine's depths. The girl runs to Alex through morning light, tears cutting clean tracks through dust and fear. Alex checks her for injuries with practiced efficiency, speaking reassurance in soft Spanish. But her tactical awareness never wavers. She catches the sound of approaching vehicles before their dust trails become visible on the horizon. 3 black SUVs approach in perfect convoy formation, their movements revealing professional training, not cartel. The driving is too precise, too coordinated. Through her scope, Alex catalogs details that tell a deadly story. Custom-modified vehicles with enhanced suspension and subtle armor plating. The kind of transportation used by serious direct-action teams. She guides the girl to cover as the SUVs execute a textbook containment pattern. Their doors open with synchronized precision, deploying 12 operators in full tactical gear. Their weapons and movements speak of extensive experience. M4 carbines customized for close protection work, plate carriers arranged for maximum mobility, communications gear that suggests serious electronic warfare capability. Agent Reyes. The team leader's voice carries command presence and deadly intent. The senator sends his regards. No pretense, no demands for surrender. These men aren't here to arrest her. They're here to erase a problem. Nothing personal, just cleaning up loose ends. Alex performs a rapid inventory as she positions herself behind cover. 3 magazines for her primary weapon, 2 backup pieces, a handful of remaining explosives. The odds are brutal. 12 heavily armed operators with superior position and equipment. But Alex has faced worse odds in places that don't exist on any map. The girl tugs at her arm, rapid Spanish revealing a possible salvation. A tunnel system runs beneath the cliffs used by locals to avoid cartel patrols. Natural caves expanded over generations into an escape network. Alex nods while maintaining focus on the approaching team. They're moving with professional caution, expecting resistance from a cornered operator. Last chance, Agent Reyes. The team leader signals his men to take firing positions, their movements revealing extensive close protection training. These aren't contractors. This is someone's direct action team, probably on loan from a 3-letter agency. Don't make this messier than it needs to be. The pre-battle comm settles over Alex like a familiar weight. These men are good, probably the best money can buy, but they're about to learn what L. Cohn discovered too late. Sometimes the most dangerous predators are the ones you don't see coming. She rises from cover with liquid grace, weapons centered on the team leader's position. Her voice carries across the morning air, steady and cold as mountain streams. Let's dance. The desert erupts in gunfire as the sun climbs higher, painting the cliffs in shades of blood and gold. But this is just the beginning, the first shots, in a war that will reach from desert killing grounds to the highest corridors of power. A war where ghosts hunt in daylight.
Disclaimer. This channel stands against all forms of intolerance, discrimination, racism, and violations of human rights. The stories shared here are original creations, developed to encourage reflection, understanding, and constructive dialogue. All content is produced with a commitment to respecting diversity and honoring human dignity.